Hi, in this video, I'd like to share some clips from my trip to Oslo last winter, around early to mid-December. I was there for a business trip, but I also had some time to walk around and explore the city. Around the waterfront area, I walked through Aker Brygge and Tjuvholmen, one of the most modern and stylish parts of Oslo. Today, this area is full of restaurants, offices, apartments, galleries, and beautiful waterfront promenades. Since it was winter in December, and because Oslo is in Northern Europe, the days were extremely short. Even though it was only a little past 2 p.m., the sun was already starting to set like this. I still remember feeling a bit sad that day was ending so quickly. This area is especially interesting because it is where the water of the fjord meets the urban side of Oslo. Here in Tjuvholmen, you can also find the Astrup Finley Museum, a contemporary art museum designed by Lenzo Piano. I didn't actually go inside this museum, but it is one of Oslo's well-known contemporary art museums. Even from the outside, the building itself was quite impressive, with its modern design and beautiful location next to the fjord. A little further along the waterfront, there is a restaurant called The Salmon. I had a delicious meal there, but before we go inside, let me show you the surroundings first. I remember thinking that, on a nice day, it would be such a lovely spot to sit outside and enjoy a meal by the water. I actually had dinner here later in the evening, and the atmosphere was even more romantic at night. Now I'm inside the restaurant, and the menu had a really unique style. Like the restaurant's name, The Salmon, it focuses on Norwegian salmon, serving it in both traditional and modern ways. Also, they were selling some salmon products. This appetizer was called Crispy Salmon Skin. It came with salmon roe, red onion, and creme fraiche. The crispy salmon skin tasted almost like a crispy cracker in Korea called alseu chip, and the combination of everything was very good. This is ginger beer. It's not usually alcoholic, even though it has beer in the name. It's a sparkling ginger drink with a stronger, spicier taste than ginger ale, and it went really well with the seafood. So for the main dish, I had grilled salmon. It was served with broccoli, truffled potato cream, and thyme butter. As expected, since I was eating Norwegian salmon right here in Norway, it tasted incredibly fresh. It was a simple dish, but it was so delicious and satisfying. Now I'll show you a bit more of Tjuvholmen. At night, the area looked really beautiful with all the lights reflected on the water. And this is how it looked during the day. One of the most Nordic lifestyle scenes here in Oslo is definitely the fjord sauna. Along the harbor, there are several saunas where people warm up inside and then jump straight into the cold fjord. They are located right in the city center along the waterfront promenade like this, so you can actually see this scene just by walking around. But I didn't see anyone jumping into the water during the day, but later in the evening, I actually witnessed it. Seeing people jump into the icy water in the middle of winter was really impressive. There is a clock tower called 3 Minutes at Aker Brygge. It may look like a small decorative landmark today, but it is actually connected to the areas of old shipyard history. The clock signaled the start and end of the workday and meal breaks. After it rang, workers had only 3 minutes to clock in, and being even 1 minute late meant losing 15 minutes of pay. So, it is a small but meaningful reminder of Aker Brygge's industrial past. This is Oslo City Hall. It has red brick towers and clock facing the waterfront. The Nobel Peace Prize ceremony is held here every year, and this bell has a small panel on the side that you can press with your foot, so it's operated manually. Right next to Oslo City Hall, I also passed by the Nobel Peace Center. This place tells the stories of the Nobel Peace Prize laureates and their efforts to create a more peaceful world. And interestingly, when I was in Oslo, the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony was actually happening at the time, but I didn't know it then. I only found out later. From here, I want to show you one of Oslo's historical places, Akershus Fortress. Oslo looks very modern today, especially around the waterfront, but the city also has a long history. Akershus Fortress was built around the end of the 13th century under King Haakon V. It stands on a hill beside the harbor, overlooking the Oslo fjord, so you can really feel why this location was important for defense. It was originally a military site built to protect the city and royal power. And this is what it looked like at night. Now I'm heading to the Royal Palace of Oslo. The palace was completed in 1849 and was originally planned as a residence for King Karl Johan. Today, it is still an important palace for the Norwegian royal family's official activities, such as meetings, receptions, and formal events. The square and the surrounding palace park are open and peaceful, so people can walk around and enjoy the space quite naturally. This is the changing of the guard in front of the royal palace. It is performed by His Majesty the King's Guard, the military unit responsible for protecting the Norwegian royal family. Their uniforms were very distinctive, especially the black feathered hats and green shoulder details. Even though many tourists come to watch it, the ceremony is connected to the real guard duty of the palace. From the palace grounds, the view looking down toward the city was also really nice. From here, I'll show you the night views of downtown Oslo. Because I visited in December, the city was decorated with Christmas lights and ornaments here and there. This is the National Theatre of Oslo. It is closely connected to Norway's theatre and literature tradition, especially figures like Henrik Ibsen. There is the Ruter Tower near Oslo Central Station. Ruter is the public transport company for Oslo and the surrounding area. Apparently, the red lights on this tower work like a countdown to the weekend. Each section represents a weekday, and by Friday, the whole tower lights up. That's funny. Now, I'm on my way to the Oslo Opera House. It is a striking white building located right by the waterfront in Bjørvika, and what makes it really special is you can actually walk on its roof. Luckily, I got there just around the sunset, so I was able to enjoy the view from the roof at the perfect time. From the top, you can see so many different sides of Oslo at once. The harbour, the Munch Museum, the Barcode buildings, the fjord, and the city skyline. What I really liked here was the contrast between the water, the old harbour atmosphere, and the modern glass buildings. Even though it is a very developed area, it still feels calm and open because the city is directly connected to the fjord. Actually, at the time, I was on my way to a high-end restaurant called Nodi. It was a dinner with the people I was working with during the business trip. So, unfortunately, because it was more of a work dinner, I didn't take any photos or videos there. But I still remember that it was a really delicious Japanese-style course meal. Since I visited Oslo in December, of course, there was a Christmas market in the city. Oslo's main Christmas market is called Christmas in Winterland. There were Christmas lights, small wooden stalls, food and drink stands, and winter activities like ice skating and a Ferris wheel. It felt like a little festive village in the middle of the city. Since the days were so short and it got dark very early, the lights made the atmosphere even more magical. So let's take a little walk around and enjoy the Christmas mood together.
I wish you a Merry Christmas. I wish you a Merry Christmas. I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Hallo, hallo, Makan.
I had a Norwegian Christmas beer called Juleo. It is a seasonal beer that people drink around Christmas time in Norway. The one I tried was quite strong, with a higher alcohol content than normal beer, and it had a rich malty winter flavor. After I bought the beer, I wasn't allowed to walk around outside with it, so I stayed inside for a while and drank it while watching people ice skating. I visited a Freia chocolate shop. Freia is one of Norway's most iconic chocolate brands. Now I'm heading to the Munch Museum. Munch is a 13th floor museum dedicated mainly to the Norwegian artist Edvard Munch. But it is more than just a traditional art museum. But before going into Munch's main works, there was a special exhibition at the museum, so I started with that first. From here, these are Munch's works. Edvard Munch is often known as the painter of the Scream, but his art is much deeper than that. He explored powerful human emotions such as anxiety, love, death, jealousy, loneliness, and fear. One interesting thing about the Scream is the way it is displayed. The museum has 3 versions of the Scream: a painting, a drawing, and a print. But they are not all shown at the same time. Because the works are very sensitive to light, only one version is visible at a time, while the others rest in darkness. The original painting version appears less often than the other versions, but luckily, when I visited, I was able to see it in person. At this moment, I was really surprised by how clear and beautiful the view was from the Munch Museum. You can really see Oslo's unique modern architecture. This is Bjørvika, a waterfront area where many of the city's new cultural landmarks are gathered. I liked how each building had such a different character, but together they created a very distinctive scenery. So, this is the end of my little tour around central Oslo. Oslo is the capital of Norway, but to me, it didn't really feel like a busy, crowded capital city. Instead, it felt more like a quiet cultural city surrounded by water and a very calm atmosphere. As an extra part of this Oslo trip video, I also want to show you the hotel where I stayed. I'll show you the room and the atmosphere of the hotel. This is the Radisson Blu Plaza Hotel. It is located near Oslo Central Station and is one of the most noticeable high-rise buildings in the city. Of course, since it was Christmas season, the hotel had a cozy, festive Christmas atmosphere too. Now, this is really the final part of the video. I'll end this Oslo trip with a street performance I saw during my stay. They looked quite young, maybe teenagers, but I was honestly surprised by how good the performance quality was. Then, thank you so much for watching. Tschüssi!
Vi hører alle mål vi setter. Det skal være sånn, det skal være rett. Hvorfor leve frykt, hvorfor være redd? Står i det sammen, vi må holde tett. Alt er mulig, ja, men ingenting er lett. Veien bygger mens vi går. Vi må tåle alle arr og alle sår. På tide å lære av mange hundre år. La oss sammen skape det